Good morning and welcome to the Sunday service. This morning we're going to meditate few minutes. After that, when the bell Panyaloka is going to give a Dhamma talk. After that, chant, question and answer and chanting. So right now, Reverend Chandasara is going to lead the Metta meditation.
Good morning to everybody. Now, shall we practice breathing meditation plus the loving kindness meditation? Before we do loving kindness meditation, we prepare ourselves to relax our body and mind. That way we can focus easily, strengthen our positive energy, that is loving kindness. So shall we start with the breathing meditation? Let's sit in a comfortable upright posture. Feel comfortable. Breathe in and out gently and with awareness. I am breathing in, breathing out mindfully. When I breathe in, I know I am breathing in. When I breathe out, I know I am breathing out. So let's continue mindfully breathing in and out very gently as naturally for a couple of minutes. I mindfully and gently breathe in and out to release my body tension and increase concentration. One-pointedness on breathing as they naturally occur. Now, shall we generate loving kindness thoughts to all the living beings, including ourselves, in this way? I base this meditation, short meditation, on the Metta Sutta, Karaniya Matta Sutta. May all the living beings, including me, be physically well. May all the living beings be mentally well. May all the living beings be free from incoming dangers. Let's continue spreading loving kindness thoughts in this way until we hear the bell sound. May all the living beings, including me, be physically well. May all the living beings, including me, be safe. May all the living beings, including me, be mentally well.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Nandasara, leading the meditation. The coming Sunday, which is July 2nd, we have a 9:30 to 10:30 meditation program every first Sunday of each month. We doing that program. The coming Sunday also we have that program. Please come and join. Just 1 hour meditation. After that, you can join for the service also. After the service, we will provide the food. So make sure to come and join that program. Right now, time for the Dhamma Talk. Today our speaker, Venerable Panyaloka, resident monks here. So Panyaloka, you can start your Dhamma Talk right now.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Bante, for allowing me to speak today here. When I was thinking about what I should talk about in my Dhamma talk, I was going through different areas and so many things in my mind over the past week. When I got the invitation, reminder like last week, to give this Dhamma talk here, I was thinking really about the topics, Dhamma sharing areas I should I should talk about in my Dhamma sharing. I think I have given many Dhamma talks here in different topics with different stories and with many life experiences too. So when I think about the audience here in the US and the audience in Sri Lanka, we were talking about this also last week. The different audiences I have met provided me, gave me a lot of strength, knowledge, and experience how to give a Dhamma talk. And it's different. It's not like the way I give a Dhamma talk in Sri Lanka. And if I use the techniques, my experiences here in the US when I'm giving a Dhamma talk in Sri Lanka, it's different. Whatever it is, I think it's better to talk about something practical so that everyone can learn something. And yes, so my Dhamma sharing area, my topic would be like something relevant to my life experiences. I will talk about my meditation experiences, how I started practicing the meditation, and what captivated my mind for the first time to practice meditation. In other words, initially what influenced me to bring the meditation experience into my life. I became a Buddhist monk when I was just 11 years old. And I think now it's been more than 33 years. But I did not meditate for a long time, even though I became a Buddhist monk at a very young age, like 11 years old. And I didn't have any understanding also about what this life is like, what's going to be like this, what sort of a life I have to lead. Of course, I didn't know anything about this monkhood and the monastic life in my temple. But from my childhood, I think I was greatly influenced by my grandma, and she had told my mother to make me a monk one day, to ordain me. And I have heard this many times from my grandma. And later on, I think it could be the reason like what influenced me to become a Buddhist monk, whatever it is. It's of course after a lot of time, I got the real experience of how to practice meditation. I will come to that later, and I have some stories also to share with you, my real life experiences to share with the audience today. And towards the end of the talk, and you have of course some time to ask some questions, and if you have some thoughts and comments also, please feel free to share with us and with the audience, and it would be highly helpful for everyone, even after this service today. And I know that many people will listen to this YouTube, since we are going to post this in the YouTube, and many people will listen to this. What is the real intention of practicing the meditation? Of course, it could be many. There are many reasons, many purposes of practicing the meditation. Either it could be the Buddhist meditation or something else, or a contemplation, a kind of contemplative practice relevant to any tradition. But in the Buddhist tradition, many people, many followers, they practice this meditation with different ideas, with different goals. Like for a person, it could be of achieving the peace in mind, to experience the clarity in mind, because in day-to-day life, we are really busy. We get busy with things, our job, our studies, our duties, responsibilities. Yes, and we are going through a hectic schedule throughout the whole day. So for a person, it could be achieving the calmness in mind, like the way I said earlier. So all in all, this is all about having the restraint in our mind, calm thoughts, peaceful thoughts in our mind. And for another person, it could be the well-being, to reduce stress, some kind of burning feelings in our life. And that's why we practice the meditation. Since we need to experience the happiness in our life, we need to enhance the everyday life experiences. And so everything is related to healing. Either it is well-being, calmness, peace in mind, clarity in mind, whatever it is, this is a process of healing. And that's why many people throughout the whole world, they practice meditation. Depending on their traditions. It could be the Theravada tradition, Mahayana tradition, or the Vajrayana tradition, in any other religions also. Everyone is practicing the meditation. And it is not all about the Buddhist meditation. So people practice meditation for another goal, like, to getting rid of some illnesses, some chronic illnesses. So it is all about, this time it is all about the health-related problems, health issues. So some kind of specific health issues, health problems. To address these kind of, abnormalities, maybe, and difficulties, illnesses, and people, they really practice the meditation. But for another person, it could be the goal, like, achieving higher spiritual attainments. Yes, the higher level of minds through the meditation. Yes, for instance, the higher states like maybe the jhanas, higher meditative experiences in your mind. And for another person, it could be achieving the psychic powers to go through the sky. Like, yeah, one day when I met a person here in the IBMC, and I can remember a few years back, he asked me to teach him mantras, some mantras. He asked me the question like, hey, do you know about mantras? Then I told him, yes, since I'm coming from Asia, I have heard some mantras. Can you teach me some mantras? Then I asked him, why? Why should I teach you mantras? Then he said that I need to use mantras. First, I need to learn, and then I need to use mantras to go through the sky. Then I told him, of course, I don't know. I have no knowledge about any mantras of how to go through the, travel in the sky. Yes. Yes, like this, there are many reasons, many purposes, many intentions to practice the meditation. And but for a true Buddhist, I mean, a true Buddhist means a person who is devoted to the message of the Buddha, the doctrine of the Buddha, and to achieve the highest state in Buddhism, in the Buddha's original teachings. And in that case, a person is practicing, someone can practice the meditation to achieve the, the final liberation, the perfect knowledge a person can achieve in this life, to put an end to this suffering and to get rid of this suffering and to achieve the final liberation. Then there is no more birth, rebirth. And like this, I know that there people are practicing meditation for different purposes, different intentions. And I have also noticed some audiences like practicing the meditation to attract the world, to be a celebrity, and he has the intention of becoming a guru. In other words, to lead meditation sessions and to have a huge audience of pupils, students who are following him, and like this to become a celebrity in the world. And like this, there are many purposes, many intentions, many ideas, goals of practicing the meditation. Let it be there. What is my purpose? What was my purpose? What was my intention of practicing this Buddhist meditation? It is totally different from what I mentioned earlier. It is totally different. None of the earlier, the intentions, purposes go with my experience, and it is of course different. Let me tell you first why I started practicing the meditation. Like, of course, my intention was to guide, to instruct some people how to practice meditation. That's where I started learning, practicing the meditation. But before that, I want to share with you one beautiful story, my personal experiences that I happened to face once when I was in Malaysia in 29, I think. By that time, I was just 25 or 26 years old. Soon after I graduated from the University of Kalani in Sri Lanka, I used to teach in two monastic institutes for the young monks. So meanwhile, I got an invitation to go to Malaysia, to visit Malaysia. It's also for a training. That was for a training, but I did not spend money for that. There was an test in Sri Lanka, and many monks from different parts in Sri Lanka they came to this test. They participated in this exam. It was an examination, a written test and an oral test. In the written test, they will test whether you have some kind of basic knowledge in Buddhism. And the oral test, they will check in with you whether you can speak good English, you can speak to an audience like this, and they will like this. And there were hundreds of monks for that test. And one layperson gentleman, he was the one who gave me this message, and he said that, Bhante, there is a program, go for this and face that exam. It's a kind of interview. I went for that, and I went 2 times there. On the very first day, I had to go there for the written test, and on the second day, I had to go there for the oral test. And finally, they selected 8 monks out of these hundreds monks, and I was one of them. And in 29, I got the chance, a huge chance, to visit a foreign country. It was my first experience, Malaysia. And I went to that country, Malaysia, and I lived in Buddhist Mahavihara in Kuala Lumpur. And there was a renowned, well-known monk, a Dhamma speaker, Venerable Kirinde Dhammananda. And we were fascinated by him. By that time, when I went there, of course, he was no more, and he had passed away. So the temple had organized this to give a training for 8 months. And when they trained these 8 monks, their purpose was to send these monks to many parts throughout the whole world. And one of the laypersons who was guiding us there, who was giving us some classes, he had told me many times, Bhante, you should one day go to the US. At that time, it was a dream, for a Sri Lankan monk to come to the US, it was a dream. There was no way. Of course, it's all about the process of immigration and to have the visa. And but I don't know. Anyway, finally, I got the chance of coming to the US. Now I'm at IBMC. Yes. And when I was in Malaysia in 29, I had this training. Throughout the whole day, you have to learn something. I go to his college, and then I learned English. And then I had to learn business studies, management, and then I have to study the original text. We were given a knowledge in Buddhism also. Like this, even though I had a first-hand education, a very good education in Sri Lanka, in some of the universities, in 29, this program in Malaysia, it gave me some kind of understanding, some kind of knowledge. And while I was going through the daily routine, and one day I got an invitation to give a Dhamma talk like this in Chinese, or in an organization which was organized by some Chinese Buddhists. And they asked me to go for that Dhamma talk. So on that day, I got ready. I prepared a topic like today, and then I went for the Dhamma talk. I was supposed to finish the Dhamma talk within 2 hours, and after 1 hour and 30 minutes, one of the Chinese Buddhists, and he was the organizer, and he asked me, Bhante, now we listen to your Dhamma talk. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. And can you please do some meditation for us? Can you please guide us to how to practice the meditation? This is the first time I got embarrassed. Yes. And because I didn't have a first-hand experience of how to guide a huge audience. There were more than, I think, 75, 80 participants in the event. I was really in a problem, and I didn't know how to do that, because I didn't have the experiences of how to practice the meditation. Even though I was a Buddhist monk, I had been a Buddhist monk for a long time. I will tell you why it is like, and somebody could be amazed and surprised when you hear this storyline. In Sri Lanka, this is in brief, okay? And in Sri Lanka, if you become a Buddhist monk at a very young age, you are supposed to go through original text, and then you have to read a lot. You have to remember a lot of things, by heart. And when it's for the purpose of, when you are going to give some Dhamma talks, public Dhamma talks, you should not take the papers. You should not, you did not have the computer, laptop to take with you. Everything should be in your memory, in your head. So in Sri Lanka, the way of training a young monk is specific and really interesting. And I had to remember many things by heart, and that education is somewhat rigorous, a bit hard, but you have to do that. And throughout the whole day, we are like this, and we have to follow a schedule. You have to study ancient languages like Pali and Sanskrit. Then you have to study the history of Buddhism, history of Sri Lanka, literature, so many subjects, until you finish the first education in a university. But there are some institutes, some temples in Sri Lanka, and they train the monks how to meditate, how to guide the audiences. Rather than guiding the audiences, they train the monks how to practice the meditation. But at least I didn't have that, education, that training. I know that it's a shortcoming in monastic education system in Sri Lanka. It's a different story. And let me come to the topic again. And then when this Chinese Buddhist, he asked me to do that meditation, of course, I was in a big trouble. I didn't know how to do the meditation. And there was nobody to help me. I was helpless. So what did I do? I just asked them to be silent. That's all I had to do. I asked them, of course, remember the great qualities of the Buddha. By remembering the great qualities of the Buddha, practice silent meditation sometime. That's it. That was my meditation. But I knew that that's not that Chinese Buddhists asked me to do for the audience, because there were some children, young children, there were some people who had some experiences about the Buddhist meditation, like this. Yeah. And that's the story. And I finished Dhamma Talk and I went back to my temple in Malaysia. That's my first experience when a person asked me to guide a meditation, but I did not yet have the experience for practicing the meditation. I came back to Sri Lanka in 2010, and it took 9 months to finish that Dhamma training course. It was unsuccessful. That Dhamma training course, it was really unsuccessful. It's because of some mismanagement in the whole program. It collapsed, and the 8 months, all these 8 months, they got back to Sri Lanka. I also happened to go back to Sri Lanka, and I started again teaching in monastic institutes. Now I'm at my residential temple in Sri Lanka. It is at the it is very close to the international airport, Bandaranaike International Airport. It is just close to the Colombo, my residential temple. In Sri Lanka, in residential, in many temples, there's a religious day for the month. We call it Poya Day. We follow the moon, and when we have the full moon day, we call it Poya Day. So it's a religious day. Female devotees, male devotees, they come to the temple, then they observe the precepts, 5, 10 precepts, 8 precepts. Normally, the other days, they are supposed to follow the 5 precepts. But on a religious day, they are supposed to observe the 8 precepts or 10 precepts. And then they listen to Dhamma talks, they listen to Dhamma discussions, and they practice giving. And yes, they read some, Dhamma books like this, throughout the whole day, they spend their day like this in the temple, and then they go back to their homes. One day, two female devotees, they were at the age of my mother, and two female devotees at my residential temple, they approached me and they asked me, they requested me the same. Bhante, can you please guide us to practice the meditation? We don't have a first-hand experience of practicing a meditation. As lay followers, we should know about that. And there are no programs in our temple. There are Dhamma discussions, there are very good Dhamma programs, but there are no programs to guide us how to practice the meditation. Can you please tell us? You are knowledgeable, you have a very good education from some of the universities in Sri Lanka, you have many experience. Can you please guide us to practice the meditation? You know what happened? The same thing, the same experience. I was embarrassed and I was helpless. And on that day, I told them, I don't know how to practice, how to guide huge audiences like you to practice the meditation. For that, I should have some kind of training. I have the knowledge about meditation. I have read many things about meditation, but it is limited to the books. It's a kind of knowledge limited to the books. It's a kind of, book form meditation, not a practical kind of meditation. And those two female devotees, I can remember very well even their names. One of their name was like Subhadra, and the other one was Kanti. And they were just like mothers to me. They were the same, age of my mother. And but I asked them, can you please give me some time? Next day, before the next day, in the next month, I will get ready with a kind of knowledge, a good training, and I will teach you, I will guide you how to practice the meditation. So what I did, on that day, I decided to go to a meditation retreat in Sri Lanka, in a meditation center. So there are so many meditation centers in Sri Lanka, in forest dwellings also. But this was not a forest dwelling place, but it was just close to my temple. But it was a meditation center, and we call it Vipassana Meditation Center at Kandubodha. It is still there, and everything is free. Food is free, accommodation is free. If you go there to practice the meditation, yes. So I contacted that place and I let them know that I'm coming and I will be there on this day. Like, I gave them the message, and they said that, Bhante, yes, the place is ready for you. I went there and I spent there for 1 week practicing the meditation, only the meditation. You are not supposed to take your books, you are not supposed to take your handphones, you are not supposed to take your laptops, nothing, just only your robe, and everything will be provided by the meditation center to you, food, accommodation, the other requisites, everything. I went there, I started practicing the meditation, and you have to get up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock. Soon after you get up, you have to practice first the sitting meditation. There are some places, there are a lot of mosquitoes, so you have to use a kind of, mosquito nets. And we have the cushion like this. And in that meditation center, everyone is supposed to keep quiet. They have to respect the silence. And no one is speaking to each other. The only thing is you have to practice the meditation for how long a day? Not 24 hours, until you go to bed. You can use different techniques. They teach you, they guide you. And I practice the walking meditation, I practice the metta meditation. Majorly, mainly you have to practice the 4 foundations of mindfulness, satipatthanas. You have to practice the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness of body, feelings, and like this, you have to practice the 4 foundations of mindfulness, basically, at that meditation center. So I get up at 4 o'clock early in the morning. Then we are supposed to go to bed at 10 p.m. So until then, you have to practice some kind of meditation. You are not supposed to talk to any person in the meditation center. So I practiced. On the very first day, I felt it is boring. And I thought like, what a foolish decision. Yes, what a foolish decision I took, like, by coming to this meditation center, and this is not the right place for me to stay here. And like this, I was going through a lot of, thoughts. But on the second day, I met a senior monk, and he was by the time just, I think, 95 years old, like, yes, and he had a rigorous practice, profound knowledge about the Buddhist meditation, how to practice the Buddhist meditation. And he was, the meditation center had, recommended that senior monk to me to guide me how to practice the meditation. So when you practice the meditation, I think when it is daytime, 2 p.m., you have to go to that monk, that senior monk, and then you have to talk to him, and you have to share with him the experiences you had when you are practicing the meditation, how you felt about the meditation like. So that monk was also waiting for me every day. He was willingly waiting for me, and when I got the chance to talk to him, he guided me. And he of course loved to see me every day, because he didn't have the the first-hand knowledge, I mean a knowledge in original text, but he had the knowledge. He didn't have that knowledge in the Pali language, but I knew the Pali language. So whenever he says something, I say it in Pali language. I say that, Bhante, what you say can be found in the original text in this sutra. He loved that a lot. So like this, anyway, he guided me how to practice the meditation. So soon after the 7-day retreat, I came back to my temple. But even at that meditation center, no one taught me how to guide a huge audience. So what I did, I changed it into reformed kind of meditation, and I used a lot of different techniques I learned at that meditation center to how to guide a huge gathering at my temple. So on every religious day, up until I came here, I came to the US in 2016. I had been conducting huge gatherings of huge audiences of meditation retreats at my residential temple. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have done more than 50 huge audiences of meditation retreats at my residential temple. There I learned a lot. At the meditation center, I learned a lot. But after coming to my residential temple, I learned a lot how to guide, a lot of people, huge audiences, how to practice the meditation. So it is through the guided meditation I learned a lot. That's it. And before I finish my Dhamma sharing today, this is my meditation experience. And I have a lot of experiences of practicing the breathing meditation, metta meditation, and the 4 foundations of Buddhist mindfulness, Satipatthanas. But I don't take a lot of time to practice the meditation now, since I'm doing a different program, because I took the same experience. I used the same experience for my dissertation, for my doctorate, for my PhD dissertation in the University of the West also. I did a meditation retreat. I mean, a kind of meditation. I designed a kind of meditation program for some Sri Lankan school teachers in Sri Lanka. And that's the topic I'm doing in the University of the West for my doctorate, for my dissertation also. For the last time, what I have to share with you today is, I have experiences. I started somewhere how to practice the meditation. then I guided the lay disciples at my residential temple in Sri Lanka. I know some basic, I mean, I have some kind of basic knowledge, but I want to extend this experience to a more and more knowledge, more insight. But for that, you have to have a kind of freedom. You should have some kind of free time, resources, yes, and I think I can do that. But I think another thing I have to share with you is what I learned through the meditation is there is, even though the traditions, even though the religious texts, Theravada texts, and even in many traditions, when they accept, like, there are some kind of what we call some kind of prerequisites to practice the meditation, some kind of preparation. Some traditions, they emphasize you should have a kind of a knowledge of prerequisites. You should have a kind of preparation how to practice the meditation. Yes, I can accept it, but it's not essential sometimes. And some traditions, they emphasize some facts, like, you should have some kind of training, a good training under a guidance of a well-trained, well-experienced monk who has the experiences of meditating. It's good, it's very good, because I have that experience. Someone should have the kind of good knowledge about how to practice the meditation. I have that. So there is no specific stance. So how I can say, yes, a posture, like a concrete posture, like you should stay like this with the lotus position, either it halfway or full way with the lotus posture. If you feel like practicing the meditation on a chair, that's my understanding. That's how I have guided the huge audiences, and they were fond of practicing the meditation when I was guiding them. And I asked them every now and then, many times, to change their stances, posture, if it becomes so painful, because it's the suffering. After a few minutes, it becomes a suffering, and you can stay with calm thoughts, peaceful thoughts. So like this, I learned a lot how to practice the meditation. And though I don't practice seated meditation in a specific place like this, but I used my day-to-day experiences to calm my thoughts, to bring peace into my mind, and to experience the clarity in mind wherever I go, with whom, whatever I live, whatever I am doing. I use these experiences for meditation. But I know that if you sit in a place and close your eyes, and it can bring a lot of experiences, peace, clarity, calmness to you. That's it. And that is my meditation experience. Thanks to that Chinese Buddhist who requested me to do the guided meditation. Thanks to those two female devotees at my residential temple. They are still there, Mrs. Kanti and Mrs. Subhadra. And thanks to everyone, thanks to everybody who gave me that experience. And today I know how to practice meditation. And the next thing is, today I know how to guide, how to instruct on meditation, on huge gatherings also. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venerable Panyaloka. Does anybody have any question? Any comment? I think but I have a very similar experience, because I don't do practice any meditation also when I was young. So I was a teacher in monastery, and I have to teach the meditation. So we have 1 week training. It is called Piriven is teachers training meditation class something. So I went there, and they teach us how to do practice meditation. So anyway, I teach meditation back home also, not really practically, just like theories, for the students. So I think most monks like that, as he mentioned earlier, uh, some temples, some traditional temple, they practice a lot of meditation. They don't have any other education. So as he mentioned, we have a lot of education. We have to learn a lot of memories, sutras, so many things. Sometimes before the higher ordination, before the uh, age 20 come, that's the higher ordination time. We have to have half of the books memories. Dhammapada, half of the stanzas memories. Without that, they don't do upasampada, higher ordination. So many things like that. So in that case, I think that is a time to learn more when we are little. We can learn a lot of, we can keep a lot of memories. Right now, even I cannot keep
right now.
my phone numbers in my mind.
Yes, Bante. Yes. And now our memory is weak. Even my memory is weak now. When I was a young monk, I could recite many stanzas, Pali, Sanskrit stanzas, even some, huge portions of sutras by heart. But now it takes time. It takes time to remember the things. But when I was very young boy, very young monk, like 10 years old, 8 years old, I could remember a lot of things in books. And the other thing, just like Bhante said, before the higher ordination ceremony, you have to prove your knowledge as a monk in Sri Lanka. And otherwise, the Sri Lankan monks in the Theravada tradition, they are not ready to give you the high ordination. You have to prove your knowledge. You have to prove like you have the capacity, you have the knowledge in original text, and you can read these texts by heart. And yes, and it's essential. It's a must. Yeah. And any more questions, thoughts, or comments? Nothing else?
Yes. Oh.
Okay. Reverend Sadai, please.
No, I just want to really thank you for such an honest Dharma talk. I really thought it was wonderful. And I think, what it does for people listening to it, it takes away the fear of meditation, of I'm not doing it right, I'm not, how to do it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that was very, very good to talk about your struggle with it. So it will make people beginning meditation feel more comfortable that this could happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Bante, for a wonderful Dhamma talk today. Very interesting, and is about, you mentioned about meditation. There's a lot of people mistake when they see the Chinese Kung Fu, and they think that you meditate to become something somewhere. So that's why a lot of people are afraid of, and a lot of people, they want to meditate to get something like the movie, but the movie is not reality.
Yeah.
So I can understand, and to tell you the truth, that I get the same problem about the struggling about meditation, misunderstand the beginning. My teacher was a Vietnamese Zen Buddhist, so I have the Zen branch in Vietnam, but my meditation is different until I came here and I get with so many tradition. So I get more knowledge about meditation. It's not about the movie star about the become God or something like that. Get the magic power or something like this. So thank you for bringing up about the subject. Very interesting, and I enjoyed it so much. Very good. Thank you, Bante.
Thank you, Nam, and thank you for everybody. I think we have to chant the page 4 and page 10. Before that, I want to mention again, thanks for the very interesting Dhamma Talk, Venerable. And thanks for everybody. And next Sunday, as I mentioned earlier, Sunday morning 9:30 we start meditation, 9:30 to 10:30. Then after that, half-hour break. After that, we have a Sunday service. Next Sunday, around Kusal is going to speak Dhamma Talk, and we will provide some kind of food also, because that's our theory right now. First Sunday of the each month, yes. Thank you again. We'll chant page 4 and page 10. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to study them all. Deluding passions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them all. Dharma gates are limitless. I vow to study them all. Buddha's way is supreme. I vow to attain it. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and the sick find health relief. May do Naidan Sun Hange Nyai Kong Rai Pan En Di Du Kong Du O Kap O Nya Di Naidan Du Sun Hange Nyai Kong Rai Pan Enkidu Kondu O Kap O Nya Di Naida Tu Chung Ange Nai Kong Thank you again for everybody. We have tea and cookies, and hope to see you again next Sunday. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, you all be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.